Hi guys, I hope you're all having a wonderful day and welcome back to my channel. Today's look is going to be a tutorial. I'm actually doing a full face of makeup. I have not done that in the longest time. I'm also cutting this intro really short because it's my roommate's birthday today and we're going out to some bars to celebrate. I haven't done this in forever and we're about ready to go. So I hope you guys enjoy this tutorial and let's get started. First things first, I'm taking my primer. This is the Hourglass Mineral Veil Primer. I've been using this since I worked for Sephora, like 5-6 years ago. It's been a while now. And I'm taking that on the back of my hand. I honestly can't do my makeup now without doing a primer just because I've been doing it for so long and I really do notice a difference when I don't use it. It just makes my makeup last a lot longer. So basically what that does for me is it helps smooth out my pores, prevent redness, and also help prevent oil buildup as well. I notice throughout the night that's typically where my makeup tends to break apart after a couple hours of wear, so that helps a lot. And I'm going to set it with a setting spray as well just to make sure it lasts extra long. Now I'm going to use something that I actually picked up in the Sephora Friends and Family sale. This is the Dior Spray Foundation Airbrushed Radiance in the shade 104. I actually had this foundation when I was in high school. It was my favorite. I used it when I was in Florida, loved it then. So I decided to splurge and pick some up because I've been using this for at least a decade. It's been a really great foundation. So there's two ways you can use this. You can either spray it directly on your face or spray it to a brush. What I've done before is sprayed it on my face and then a little bit on a brush to help blend it in. So I'll just try spraying it on my face. And I'm going to spray it a little bit on my brush as well. The only problem with this foundation is you do lose some of the foundation in the air because of the way you apply it. So just blending that in. It feels really wet. Like so. And I'm doing this on my Sigma Kabuki 3D HD brush. They did send this to me and I honestly have not used a brush to apply my makeup in the longest time before they sent this. And now I use this primarily pretty much all the time for my foundation just because it does such a good job blending it in. I don't really use a beauty blender. I'll prefer to use, well, I won't even use a beauty blender much anymore anyways. I usually use the Morphe one just because I feel like with the edges it gets underneath my eyes a little bit easier. But regardless, I really don't use beauty sponges as much compared to the brush. I feel like it works so well. I do want a little bit more coverage just underneath my eyes and my chin area where I do have a little bit of a breakout happening, and also on my nose as well. So I am taking my Naked Skin Concealer from Urban Decay. I think they discontinued this. I do have the newer version of it because I was running out. I have no idea where it is. Right now my makeup room is just, well actually it's just my room. I don't have a makeup room. I just have one room. Everything is just like pure chaos. So I have no idea where it is, so I'm using this one instead. But I do have the newer one and I really like it. The formula is pretty much the same. But basically what I'm doing with this is I'm just popping it in right underneath my eyes. And again, there's barely any left. So just kind of scraping the sides here for this. I will say though, this foundation is doing really well. I haven't used it in a really long time, like years. I've actually been trying other things. Like I tried the Hourglass foundation. It's a stick foundation. I love it. It's my favorite. It's so good. But I really like this. Like I'm noticing like around my forehead, it's kind of like, I mean, it's setting. It's not like still like wet, but it's not like settling into my fine lines. Like I notice like I have a lot of expression lines on my forehead. And that's kind of where I typically notice the most, like I guess wrinkles. They're not really wrinkles though, but that's kind of where I notice it like settling into the fine lines the most, and it's not really doing that. So I'm really impressed with this. I just kind of looked at it in the mirror because when I do my makeup for the tutorials, I just look at my camera's viewfinder. So it's kind of hard to see exactly like all the little details, but I just looked in the mirror when I went to go clean my sponge and I was like, wow, that actually looks really good. What do you guys typically pick up when you go, like if you have like a sale, or is there anything that you like stock up on? Like for me, I grabbed, well, I'll show you guys later. I grabbed an eyeshadow palette. I grabbed a lipstick, even though it was the wrong shade. And I stocked up on my skincare, which was really expensive. It like killed me on the inside. But I know it needed to happen because it's like, I know I'm going to use this and I might as well get it when I have a discount. So now that this concealer is thoroughly blended, wanted to show you guys, I don't know if I filmed with it yet or not. It's kind of been a while since I've done a full face makeup tutorial. Recently I've been doing is just doing the eyeshadow portion, but I have almost completely used this. This is the Becca, It is the Hydra Mist Set and Refresh Powder. I actually got it in my BoxyCharm. BoxyCharm does send me as like PR. They send me their boxes every month, which I'm so thankful for. I've actually found so many things I absolutely love in those BoxyCharm boxes. It's not always a hit, but like when it's a hit, it's a hit. And I love this. So this powder, I think it's supposed to be like used as like a secondary powder like throughout the day. If you feel like it's kind of getting dry on your face, you kind of use it to kind of refresh. I actually use it as a primary source to set my foundation. I lied. So this is another thing I got during the sale, but it is the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish. This powder, I love it. I actually haven't gotten it in a while because it is kind of pricey, but I usually get like pricier items during sale. So what I'll do is I'll set my under eye first with this, which is right under there, and I feel like it just smooths it out. And this is the number 1 shade. So this is the lightest shade that they have. They only have 3 shades, so their shade range isn't the best, to be totally honest. What I'll do next is take this powder, and it says keep me close to keep me cool. It actually feels like it's wet. It's so weird. So I'll apply this on my face. I'll just kind of press it into the beauty blender or the sponge and just press it into my forehead. But it literally feels like it's wet. It's so weird. It's cold. It has a wet texture to it. But I found like for my dry skin, like this like does an amazing job of just smoothing out the areas that I typically find get really like wrinkly looking. So like under my eyes, on my forehead, like it just does the best job. I've tried like sweeping it on, and I found that it kind of breaks apart the makeup and it doesn't work as well. So it is trial and error, but I found that if I press it like just straight without sweeping, it works really well. Then I'm just going to take a wash of my Thrive Cosmetics Filtered Effects Soft Focus HD Setting Powder. This is truly my favorite setting powder. It's amazing. I've gone through so many of them and they've been kind enough to restock me. So I'm just going to take a little bit of that, but just putting a wash over to make sure I didn't miss any spots. For bronzer today, I'm using both the Hoola Light Bronzer as well as the original Hoola Bronzer as well. When they first sent me the Hoola Light Bronzer, I was like, this is going to do absolutely nothing. It's like the same shade as my skin. But once I applied it, I realized that it does a really nice job of just kind of adding a base powder, base bronzer, before going in with my other bronzers. So as you can see, I can't talk and do this at the same time. No, it does a really good job of just like adding a really nice hint of it without it being like super dramatic. For me, it's really hard to like contour or find a bronzer that works without looking super muddy. But I feel like this is just like this most subtle bronzer, and like on camera it's gonna look like I'm doing barely anything, but in person like this looks so nice and so much more natural too. So then that's it for the light. Going in with the regular, I will just focus that right along the back part of my cheekbones. Maybe a little bit on my nose. With my blush, I've been recently re-loving this NYX. It's like this blush called Amber. I got it years ago. It's pretty old, I'll be honest. I think they still sell it though, but I just love the color because I feel like it has a little bit of color to it. Like it's a little bit pinky, but it's not like a bright pink. And I'm very picky about my blushes. So once I find one that I love, I'll pretty much stick to it for a long time. And this is more affordable than like most of the products I'm using today too. So applying that with Morphe E4 brush, it's just like a nice blush brush, has a nice angle to it. I'm just gonna pop that on right above the bronzer. Moving on to my brows, I've recently been re-loving the idea of using a powder. So I've been using the Benefit Foolproof Brow Powder first. And then what I'll do if I want a little bit more hair-like texture because my brows are looking pretty sparse these days, I'll go back in with the Anastasia Dip Brow just to kind of add in those strokes to make my brows look a little bit fuller. So going in first, I'm using the front half first towards the front half of my brows, and then the back half towards the back half. I absolutely love the way that they did this because I feel like this gives a really nice visual for how to apply the powder. So picking that up on this is like the Jeffree Star brush, but you can use honestly any brush. I prefer using ones that have a spoolie on the other end just to brush through my brows. Picking that up on this end. I'm starting at the base here and just kind of running it along like that, and then flicking it upwards. So the majority of the pigment is down at the base of my brow. But I feel like by using a powder, it looks a lot more natural than using some other products. I do notice I tend to get a little heavy-handed, but I can still keep it pretty natural looking when I use a powder. So I'm just kind of following my natural brow shape which I got my brows microbladed so you can still see some of that pigment poking through. That's mainly, honestly, that's mainly the microblading is what you're seeing. I pretty much have no eyebrows, so I'm really thankful to have that because it does help me see where my shape should be. It makes it a lot easier when I'm trying to do my makeup. So that's the one side. You can see what a difference that makes, like bringing me to life. Taking my Anastasia 7B brush, and I took a little bit of the Dip Brown Ebony on the back of my hand. I've just kind of dipped the brush back and forth like this to really coat both sides. And then I'm going to just try to draw on some of those hair-like strokes onto my brows. So what I'm doing, I tend to like start in the front, and I'm just using really the tip of this side of the brush, the pointier side. I'm just kind of starting at the base where your brows naturally grow. They grow from the bottom and go kind of upwards in the front. They start to go off to the side towards this middle section and then down towards the back. So basically I'm just kind of recreating those hairs. So I'm starting in the front and just drawing up like this, just up. And I try to go in small sections, so I'll just do a couple strokes, dip back into the pigment on my hand. So that's what the difference between the two looks like. It just kind of adds a little bit of depth, and it's not something that you can really notice like up close unless you were really close to me, but kind of far away you can see there's a little bit more texture and it looks a little bit more natural having that depth added back on the right side. And so now I'm going to go do the left side off camera. I'm going to quickly apply my lipstick before doing the rest of my eyes so that way I can kind of match my eyes off of my lipstick. And this is the Too Faced Melted Matte Gingerbread Girl lipstick, not the boy one, even though I wanted the boy one. This is the girl one, which has a little bit more of like a red undertone, kind of like a cinnamon color. So I'm just going to apply that really quick before doing the rest of my eyes. Since I'm about ready to go out with some friends, I'm doing like a very basic look. So I think I'm taking the shade Soft and Sweet. It's kind of like has some pink undertones. Actually, no, I'm using Plenty of Dough first. That's like more of a neutral shade. I'm gonna put this right into my crease area, and I'm using a Morphe M433 brush. So just placing that like right in the crease, like so. I'm gonna use a little bit of the Vanilla Wafers. It's the top left shade. Placing that right above it just to kind of help diffuse it up into my brow bone. Okay, so next I'm taking the shade Gingerbread Glam. It's like this brown, rich brown color here on the same Morphe M433 brush. And just kind of popping that in the outer portion of my eye right here. So first I'm pressing that and then I'm just kind of blending it afterwards. Again, doesn't have to be perfect. Alright, so a little sloppy, but that's totally fine. I am going to use the shade Candy Queen down here in the bottom kind of left corner. And I'm going to first apply a primer. This is the Too Faced Glitter Glue, and I find it's like honestly the best primer to use when applying any sort of shimmer shade. It doesn't have to be glitter, but just shimmer. It just makes it really pop. So just taking a really small amount on the back of my hand, picking it up with my ring finger, and just popping that right into the front part of my eye and like the middle part of my eye, and then picking up the shade Candy Queen on that same finger and just kind of pressing that all over the lid. And then I'm gonna do a little bit of the Cookie Call. It's that dark brown shade, and I'm gonna use the same brush. This will be a one brush tutorial. Just picking up the smallest amount on that and just like really packing that onto the outer part of my eye. And you know what, just for fun, I'm taking extra spicy as well and just putting that right in that middle section right there. Before I apply lashes, I'm going to pop on a little bit of eyeliner to kind of tie the look in together. So I'm using the Thrive Cosmetics. This is their Lauren Infinity Waterproof Eyeliner. It's just the black shade and I love it. I've been using it for years. So I'm basically just gonna put this right in my waterline before applying my false lashes. So now I'm gonna go pop on some false lashes and come right back to show you guys the finished look. And this is the finished look. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you really enjoyed this fun fall autumn makeup tutorial. Let me know if you want to see more videos like these. I gotta go though because we're about ready to leave to go out to go some bars, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!